Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cybersecurity. My first guest today is Deveeshree Nayak. Deveeshree, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deveeshree Nayak at Dr. Hasib mentioned. Presently, I'm working as an assistant teaching professor at the University of Washington, Tacoma, and I teach undergraduate and graduate program, cybersecurity and IT in all contexts in general. I'm passionate about cybersecurity because it's a way to help people and community and entire globe and to protect people in an environment where to protect vulnerables, especially people who cannot protect themselves. That's why and I'm really passionate about cybersecurity. I started this journey when I was a teenager, learning about World War II, World War One, how cryptography plays a vital role in securing communication channels from point A to point B, and that's how it kind of like for me started interest. So I kind of started reading storybooks about security, and then landed. It was like, I want to show my passion in computers, and I'm a very much a busy bee person, I would like to describe. I always look for projects which keep me interested and very much like not like a stagnant, rather than there is new things every day. So cybersecurity is the best approach to go. So now I'm here, and my background is I have graduate studies. I have 4 masters, and
Four
yes,
masters.
yes.
How about a doctoral degree?
uh, in the horizon, it's never be like that's one of the channel to go. We will see. The master's, my program is in computer engineering with the focusing on information security, criminology, criminal justice, focusing on cybercrime, and information system in the context of understanding management information security. So I was looking for, when I was started my graduate school journey, I was looking for more context based, where cybersecurity can be studied both social science and technology.
Mm.
And at that point of time, I'm talking about like maybe 7 to 8 years ago, there was no program I found which was focusing on both cybercrime in social science
Mm.
and behavioral and the technology aspect of it. So I had to go for masters in criminology, criminal justice, to
Mm.
focusing on cybercrime, and that's why it landed this way.
Ah, that's a wonderful journey. That's a wonderful journey. So you're absolutely correct because this whole social science aspect, a lot of people don't really understand that cybersecurity is very interdisciplinary. You kind of recognize that. And in my case, of course, the whole social science background is where I started. So for me, I already had that. And so it was a lot easier transition for me. That is wonderful. So what topics and questions do you want to talk about today?
Well, the topics and questions I would today like to introduce, like two things. One is the diversity in cybersecurity is how much is needed, and the
Mm.
interdisciplinary approach to cybersecurity. More like if we can focus on that, women in general, when we talk about cybersecurity, representation of women is 11%, according to article in ISC Square, and there are several articles available in the news we see. And it's kind of like my personal experience as well. Whenever I go to a conferences, we'll see very much less representation of women and underrepresented community. In through my education, I always like focusing passionate about education, and I try to uplift all my students, and encourage more minorities representation as well, because it's very important that we whenever we are approaching a particular cyber attack or any particular problem solving, diversity in ideas matters. And
Absolutely.
that's one of these talk I like want to bring about, is when we have diverse set of ideas, we can approach a problem in a very holistic approach manner rather than in a straight cut. And we can apply to anywhere in cybersecurity problem, even if incident response, when we talk about like risk assessment, when we talk about cyber network defender, building a robot to make train them in a manner, building an application. So diversity ideas in cybersecurity must have a representation, which is a very much huge skill gap.
Hmm.
The second thing also I wanted to focus is that like how we can what are the approach we can build that cybersecurity will be a multidisciplinary rather than only one major,
Mm.
one particular, either only science students rather than social science, financial industry, and then there is federal government, law enforcement. Everybody's contribution is needed.
Right. So this is a serious problem, and actually, this was part of the reason that I had to leave the corporate world. I kind of noticed similar issues. I was noticing that people are teaching cybersecurity incorrectly. They're teaching it as a computer science discipline, and therefore there was a lack of representation already in those disciplines, and that kind of propagated as people thought they were doing cybersecurity, but in reality, they were not doing cybersecurity at all. They may have been doing the security aspects of computer science. Maybe they sliced that out. And that, to me, that is not cybersecurity. Cybersecurity to me has always been a business discipline. It has always been about business enablement. And as you said, interdisciplinary. I believe everybody needs it. They're from whoever, from the janitor to the CEO, everybody has technology, they have access to technology, they have access to data. So therefore, this whole thing has to engage everybody. So that is part of the reason that I actually developed Master of Science programs and doctoral programs that were interdisciplinary and of that ilk, that it was open to everybody. In my program, I was accepting people with English degrees, political science. It really didn't matter
Yes.
because we were creating people who were thinking holistically, and they also knew that they alone could never solve a particular problem. In order to solve any particular problem, they would have to talk to all kinds of people and then come up with the solution. So that's sort of what I'm doing. And I think it's going to take more passionate people like yourself talking like this. So the fact that you're coming here talking about this, I think that is important. I think if you speak like that, create videos like that, as your brand grows, your influence will grow, and then people will start to understand it the right way. I think that is important. Also, coaching your students to talk about it as you impact a student or teach a student, help them to talk, which I have done also. So all my students that have graduated from my programs are out there doing exactly what you're talking about.
And that's what, like, I'm really like fortunate enough to got an opportunity at the University of Washington Tacoma, because University of Washington Tacoma is one of the more diverse student
Mm,
population. And the
okay.
program I teach both bachelor's and master's program. So our master's
Excellent.
program is MCL. It's a master's in cybersecurity leadership, which
Mm-hmm.
is a combination of both School of Engineering Technology and business school. So the
Ah.
program is a combination of like more business and it's technical. So
Mm-hmm.
aspect to it. So when we teach students, we have a very diverse group of students who are
Mm-hmm.
literally focusing on industry, and they're
Mm-hmm.
working professionals. And the classes happens on Saturdays, and we literally have diverse background of students coming from IT operations, cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
computer engineering, business leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, my take on cybersecurity is it's a interdisciplinary study program,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that discipline, actually we need everybody's contribution, the same as a person who is in the directorial and a managerial level. Their
Mm-hmm.
contribution, their thoughts, their approach to the problem is as matter as a computer scientist who is a security engineer and they are developing the product, the algorithm they are writing. We also need mathematical people, because when we are channeling terabytes of data,
Mm-hmm.
we literally need data security people who has the understanding of data, because
Mm-hmm.
data converts and data information sharing is every day-to-day life which we
Yep.
are doing. I'm a strong advocate of data security as well,
Mm-hmm.
because all information, it doesn't matter any industry a person is working
Mm-hmm.
in security industry, in educational industry, in corporate industry, in a federal government.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to safeguard what? We are trying to safeguard the
Mm-hmm.
data gathered by any one piece of information, the searching data, our personal information, financial information, social security, like
Mm-hmm.
so much terabytes of data generated per day.
Mm-hmm.
And to protect that, we need diverse ideas of approach and holistic approach. It's like a mathematical science. I think that
Mm-hmm.
um, um, many many of our audiences need to understand that mathematics is an art.
Hmm. Hmm.
If we study,
Not just mathematics, but also you need the governance, you need the
yes,
policy, you need
yes,
the training, you need the right usage, and the even talking about it, right? So a lot of the information is not necessarily in a system. It's in people's heads, in people's minds. And to me, the integrity of the information and the intellectual loss of that information is also important. I feel like people discard people just to, I mean, companies literally lay off their intellectual capital. They're doing that now. Universities are laying off all kinds of people.
I like that's a kind of a management like approach. And again, every companies has their own way of doing businesses. There are the approach I took with my teaching profession is that
Mhm.
it's a very honorable profession because
Yes.
I get to impact students' life, which is a very like I get to touch students' internal life
Hmm.
as long as because being a teacher, I think that we had to focus on psychology of the students. We need to
Hmm.
accommodate students like they have a family, they have a job, they have children to
Hmm.
take care of.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
these scenarios teachers has to deal with it and accommodate it. I think that that's a very, for me personally, my mother is a teacher, and
Hmm.
that's kind of I learned through growing up that technology, mathematics, and liberal arts go hand by hand. It's not a
Hmm.
separate thing.
Yep.
I'm very passionate about like Da Vinci. He was an artist,
Hmm.
but he literally like modeled this helicopter way
Mm.
before anybody can think of.
Hmm.
So it's like mathematics and art is combination.
Yep.
Albert Einstein famously said that if he would not have a physicist, he would be a magician.
Mm.
So it's an art and science together.
Yes.
And a lot of my hacker friends are from music major and financial industry and history majors.
Hmm.
So like when I see that, the main thing I become interested in cybersecurity, the diversity within the discipline itself motivated me to focusing on, and the supportive environment as well.
Hmm. Hmm. No, that is absolutely fantastic. So you guys should have probably a doctoral program also. This is the other thing. There are so few doctoral programs in this field. So many of the professors that we're creating are not teaching this discipline properly also. That is also a big problem throughout this industry, because if you don't have doctor of science or PhD holders in the field of cybersecurity, I don't think just a pure computer science person can holistically teach this if that's what they're doing. Their PhD is in computer science, deep into computer science, and that's okay. We need that aspect, but all these other things that you're talking about, if they have no knowledge of that, or the faculty body in the program doesn't have those kinds of dimensions, it becomes very hard.
You are right. Like, especially when I see like our program and especially our group of individuals, so like faculties, my colleagues, we do have a very diverse group of
Mm.
domains and experiences with industry combination of with technology with PhD different research program. We haven't yet have a program, but yes, you're right. There are many PhD program needed in the big universities or even small universities where it is possible, where we can have a PhD in computer science and PhD in criminology and a PhD in biomedical engineering and interdisciplinary approach.
Mhm.
I feel that like this cybersecurity combination of interdisciplinary study, it's not, there is very much way room to improve as a like as we see like I can think that like next 20 years the environment will be completely different. When I graduated from my college in 2010, like the talking about computer security was not that much. Cybersecurity was like, if we talk about 95, 96, the
Mhm.
cybersecurity is a like discipline which was like very rarely heard
Oh, in
of.
'95, the word I didn't know of the word. World Wide Web was 95, 96, around that time.
So that's what I'm saying, like yeah, the program and having PhD program, having bachelor of science in DevSecOps or like in cybersecurity, it will take some research, it takes some like time. And I am very much optimistic that the way the contribution that way we are implementing like this.
Mhm.
And then there is other organizations, for example, Women in Cybersecurity, WISES. I am a member of WISES.
Mhm.
Then Society of Women Engineers, and there
Mhm.
is engineering aspect to it. People who are pursuing mechanical and electrical engineering,
Mhm.
these cyber physical system is a
Mhm.
part of it as
Mhm.
well. So like people who are pursuing civil engineering, geographical engineering, GIS, there is cyber GIS. There's many universities are working towards it, but I believe that personally that it will take some time, but we have to continue work hard as we are doing and continue to strive.
Mhm.
So there is no going back, it's moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. So, are you able to do something in terms of diversity? Have you succeeded in doing that?
Yes. So as a faculty, like, we do have a diversity in inclusion council at
Mhm.
the university, which will try to like develop. We are one of the, diverse group of population in our campus,
Mhm.
which is focusing on Native Americans, and then, African Americans and other
Mhm.
underrepresented minority communities.
Mhm.
Apart from that, I'm a member of WISES, Women
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
Cybersecurity. I'm also a part of a sister. It's a component of Anita Berg Institute.
Okay.
I'm also focused on a lot of like Women Tech Maker, which is a women organization focusing on, because when we talk about diversity, it's very, very important, because it's 50%, or don't quote me on that particular percentage wise,
Mhm.
but half of the population in our whole world is women. And
Mhm.
if we don't see the diversity of ideas, of representation, then how can we develop a better product?
Mhm.
When we start with one set of ideas, of one set of group people developing one product, definitely that product will have certain repercussion of, may not be available for all.
Mhm.
And if one set of people are representing, they have to go dig it down, that
Yeah.
how other group of people are feeling about the product. It's always, we many times, I have seen in the corporate industry, they talk about customer first, right?
Mhm.
So when they develop any product, in even if social media apps and any phones,
Mhm.
the user level, the user who uses it, it's much more diverse than people who develop it. It's a
Mhm.
simple basic concept, I believe,
Yep.
that we must target of diversity of ideas and diversity as a goal for any technical product we are developing in cybersecurity.
So this has been an amazing conversation. I absolutely love your passion and the way you are passionately following these angles and trying to make a difference. So I wish you all the best, and I really, really enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you for coming to chat with me. And I am now going to bring in my next guest, Saman, Fatima. Thank you, Deveeshree.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Cybersecurity. I am really thankful, to be part of this conversation. So, speaking about myself, I am Saman Fatima, and currently I am working as a IAM developer, working on the SailPoint tool with one of the banks based out in Sydney. And I'm also a very, very keen learner of cybersecurity and a really big enthusiast for it. So I am the co-chapter lead of Delhi chapter here in India for InfoSec Girls community, headed by Vandana Verma. I'm also part of OWASP VIA, also the member of Women in Cybersecurity. So it's been a great journey with me because I started my career with cybersecurity 3.5 years back,
Mm.
and I thought to learn a lot by being part of different conferences, by being part of different societies, so that I could actually grasp more and more, and then I could actually decide which side of this domain I just want to follow and have my future in it. So I have been learning a lot, and I'm really happy to be part of here.
So this is a very smart thing that you were doing by going to conferences. So most of the time, I have to tell people to go to conferences, particularly people who are trying to understand the field and know the field. They often just go into an academic program or so. So you were actually very smart about it by going to the various conferences and talking to the various people. So you started to see the flavor and the interdisciplinary nature of discipline, right? I mean, that is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
So that is a wonderful introduction. So what questions do and topics do you want to talk about today, Saman?
Yeah. I actually have some questions about me, and I would be very sure that people would be having the similar questions as well. So because of this very unforeseen situation of COVID here around the globe, so I just wanted to have a good picture about people who just want to pursue their masters in the cybersecurity domain. So what are the options for them, like the best colleges for them to consider, like outside India as well? I just want to know what would be the market structure after they pass out after those years, and what are your best options for the cybersecurity courses which one could pursue, so that one could actually gather a lot of knowledge and implement it likewise in the organizations coming out from that master's degree. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a great question. Just as you, by visiting conferences, you recognized that cybersecurity is very, very diverse and interdisciplinary, and you just heard, and when we were talking with Deveeshree, how interdisciplinary this is. So I really appreciated the way that she's approaching it. She knows that this is interdisciplinary. You also know that many universities are not teaching it correctly. So my recommendation for anybody looking for a master's level course or anything is my YouTube channel is free. All these conversations that I'm doing and all these videos, watching it completely free. So I recommend that they at least go through the first chapter of my book, Cybersecurity Leadership, and the second chapter. Both are on YouTube, both are free to use. That will at least give them the interdisciplinary aspect of cybersecurity and also teach them that it's a business discipline. So once they understand the model, now as you talk to universities, you would then ask, what is your definition of cybersecurity? Ask them their definition of cybersecurity, because see, if they cannot define cybersecurity holistically, if all they're saying is that it is the security aspects of computer science, or it is encryption, or just the protection of data, well, just the protection of data isn't cybersecurity, right? So
Yeah,
I
totally.
practiced this field for 30 plus years. Protection of data was a given. It's not something I advertised. It is not something that I promoted. I never told people that that's my job. My job was to make the business successful. Very simple. And it was through digital strategy, information, and all of that. So if you think of the old business discipline, MBA schools and all of that, that was mostly about finance. That was the era of finance. Now we have the era of digital. So to me, MBA today is an obsolete degree. Most people with MBAs, they go to a company today, they would not be able to run the company because it is all about a digital strategy. And that's why a lot of CEOs are actually failing.
Yeah.
You see, the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, came into being around the 1980s, because around the 1970s is when the MBA school started. And so they created these executives. Well, we now need a new breed of executives. I think that the kind of executives that Deveeshree is creating in her program, or the ones that got created in my program, those are the kinds of people that are the executives of the future, because it's all about digital strategy. So that's what I would recommend. Don't spend any money first. First, understand the discipline. Understand who is teaching what. And there's so many free resources, just like you are doing. You're talking to me, exploring. Talk to others, explore, and see what they say. Through that, you will understand what truly cybersecurity is. Now, you will be in a better position to vet what is a good cybersecurity master's program. I would also recommend you don't have to go to some place to study cybersecurity. You can do it online in a good program. So all programs aren't the same. My recommendation is go for programs where it is competency based. If all they're doing is a whole bunch of quizzes, that's not a program you want. Ask them, are there labs? Are there projects? Am I going to do projects that are real world projects? So the programs that I designed, for example, were all real world projects. There was not a single quiz in the entire master's program. All right? Because what does a quiz do? It just tests your memory. It doesn't help me as a professor understand what you can do. I might be able to test your memory under stress, but that's no good. I need to know what you can do with the knowledge. The whole world is open book. So ideally, I would like it to be open book and help have you solve a problem for me. Do an actual penetration test and write a report and write a letter and make sure that the production system isn't impacted. So these are all kinds of other things that are coming into the place, right? This is not about memorizing something. Those are the kinds of programs that I would select.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
And
you need to be able to come up with artifacts. So when somebody says, can you do penetration testing? You should be able to say, well, not only do I know how to do it, I've done it. Here's the test, here's the results, here's my presentation. I actually even had to present for 5 minutes on it, etc., etc. Now you have something tangible. That's a big difference.
yeah, totally. I totally agree to that. And I just want to add one more point, like a question itself. Like people do have a notion usually between, choosing between their master's degree and, going for a hefty certification for any particular domain they want to enter into, or they're already in it there. So I have seen a very basic notion with people that they actually run around the certifications, doing certification, and they think if they have done a pretty much 2-3 pointer certification, they're good to land up to a good job. So I just want to have a clear picture on that as well, on running around for certifications.
Sure. So this is another excellent question. So the big difference that I feel about certifications versus degree. A degree's goal is to change your brain forever. It's very simple. Our goals in a master's program, we are trying to create executives of the future, executives in the field. That's what at least I was doing in my master's program. Okay? We're not trying to create tech jocks or things like that. These people would think, they would see problems that do not even exist today, and they would be able to solve them because their brain has become complex and elevated to that level. You see, they would be able to talk, they would be able to think, they would be able to form teams, they would be able to communicate, all kinds of things. So all these skills would come into play, which are not tested during a certification, whatever the certification may be. A certification is often, again, testing knowledge in a particular slice. How you might, what kinds of things you might need to know about, but I don't know that it necessarily teaches you how to do things and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
does not elevate your brain to a more complex level. And that is why degrees last a lifetime, right? Once you earn a degree, it's not going to expire.
yeah. It just totally goes up till our grave. So yeah, because I have seen a lot of people running around certifications, and they come down for any of the domains. They come down and they just are very keen to know, like, which certifications can we do for this domain? Are there any certifications we can do? And because I have also seen this a normal notion with organization, they're pulling up people who have done so and so certifications in that particular domain,
Mhm.
and which actually creates a bigger picture that they have to have that certifications to actually enter into that role.
Mhm.
So I'm a really not a big fan of certifications. Yes, at a point, yes, we have to,
Right,
when we have all the free resources all dead up,
right.
then we are all decked up to go up and do the certifications. What I have learned so far from this community, that when you're actually done with all the free resources around, then only you should pay for some very expensive certifications and go for it, rather than running around that expensive dollar certification and landing up nowhere.
Correct.
So
Brilliant. Yes, absolutely true. There's so much knowledge being given for free on YouTube and all various places. It's just amazing.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And the brain complexity is very important. But yes, one of the points that you raised is kind of important, that Yes, there are these companies or hiring managers that want all these certifications. And that's part of the problem because the hiring is broken. Most of the people who are doing the hiring aren't really qualified to do the hiring. And that's part of the reason they are putting up all these silly certifications. Okay? Because it's a crutch. They really don't know how to interview somebody or really vet a candidate. So they create all these gatekeepers with these certifications. And actually, often they end up with the wrong candidate.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's part of the problem. I don't know
correct.
how to solve that necessarily. That's one of the things that I've been talking about big time. That we need people like you, people like Deveeshree, to be out there in the hiring community. People who really know who to hire.
Yeah, yeah. That will be a great help if the receiving end is like, sorry, the other end is actually understanding like what they're needing in that particular role. Is it a master's degree which can suffice, or is it a plain certification, or is it none of them? And normally if a person is having that particular knowledge, can work for that particular role. So yeah, I
Yes,
get
because
it.
the
I
thing
get
is
the
that
point.
here's
Yeah.
the thing. I hired people for almost 30 years. I never used to look for certifications. I used to look for degrees, mainly because I wanted the complex brain.
Mhm.
But I really looked for values and work ethics and the ability to learn because, as we were talking about, in this particular discipline, everything changes so rapidly and all the time that it doesn't matter what you knew when you came in or what you know already or what certification. If you want to work in my organization, you're going to have to learn because the implementation of this discipline, implementation of cybersecurity is different in every organization, right? No two organizations are the same. In my 30 years,
Yeah.
I worked for multiple organizations. I still haven't found any two organizations that had the same thing. So you'd have to learn. So discipline, ability to learn, ethics, integrity, honesty, these things were very, very important to me. Being able to work without supervision, having passion in the field, to me those things were very important. I used to look for the glint in the eye. When I talked with them, if I saw the passion, that is the kind of person I would hire. You see? Somebody who has
Yeah.
visited a lot of conferences, I would hire that person on the spot. Because to me, that person is a curious person, constantly seeking out and outward facing and talking to all kinds of people and bringing back knowledge. That's going to be very valuable. So I think those things are also very important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because I've been part of a lot of conferences. Before lockdown, I've been physically part of a lot of conferences, and during the lockdown, I've been virtually part of it. So, not only we learn about different topics which are actually told as part of workshops or sessions like that, but we get to network a lot with a lot of people, and we actually come down to a sphere where we can actually say that we have a lot of like-minded people. Either they have done masters or certification, or they're at a very higher level or at your level only, but I can actually feel that thing, that yes, we land up onto the same set of like-minded people there. And at times I also have second thoughts about these things, about masters, about certifications. Are they actually very necessary, to actually uplift myself into this particular domain? So, but this
More
has
than
become
the
a normal
degree,
notion.
yeah,
Yeah.
more than the degree, I think the mentorship is kind of important. So, one of the other things that was very powerful in my program is the mentorship we used to provide. So, I kind of write about that in the book Bring Inner Greatness Out. That book I talk about that there are mentors, there are coaches, and then there are sponsors. Those things need to be part of the program, and that is the other thing. So I used to coach the faculty so that they would become mentors to all of their students. And I personally, even though I was chair of the program, I was mentoring and I'm still mentoring. So anybody who went through my programs, they're still reaching out to me and I'm constantly helping them and mentoring. And anytime they ask me, I cannot say no, because if I'm a professor, I'm kind of a professor for life, right? For a student.
Yeah, I totally agree to that, because I have had a lot of mentors in my life, and past these 3.5 years I have been connecting with a lot of people, bugging them with all my doubts, and this has become usual stuff for me, to connect with them, and to come down to a thing like which is better, this or that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the point.
This is fantastic. I really enjoyed chatting with you, Saman, and we are going to now close this session and then we can go into the networking. Thank you very much.
Thank you.